coming up on Added Time.
And you all know, as players, you hate a long training session.
The problem with that club is when it starts to go south, they all then jump from the coach as well.
I think sometimes with Manchester United, the shirt can weigh heavy on you.
Nervous energy.
Yeah.
I mean, in those big moments, if you've got someone calm around you.
Yeah.
If it was City in this situation, you would think they're going to win.
Yeah, they're going to win.
It's done.
There's only a couple of players in every group who actually lead the way that the team operates. Gents, good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Great to be back.
Happy Australia Day.
Happy Australia Day.
Did you get up to anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I had a few ales and
okay.
with some mates and that.
Yeah,
and
good.
I had lunch with the second ex-wife, which was lovely.
Okay.
And ended up paying. So
How many are
it
there?
was a good day.
It was second. He said second. Yeah.
I know he said second, but it could be a long list. I don't know. I mean,
I know there's two.
Oh, there's two,
and they're very good friends. But I think we've got.
all right, cool. Quick question. So
Yeah.
on Australia Day, do you think about your times playing for Australia? Like, is it meaningful when you have Australia Day? You see everyone out, proud of the country. Are you, thinking about those Socceroo games?
Not really, to be honest. I think that's kind of, I don't know. To be honest. I don't know.
Well, he's saying yes.
Well, I'm saying. I'm
What are you
saying
doing? Just having a barbie? No
Pretty
worries.
much, pretty much.
I think because you always hear on the radio or something, the OAMs and all the Order of Australia comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, because I think you've got one as well, and I think, geez, I've got one of them. It's not that special if I've got one. But look, it's a good day. And of course, it's an important day and it brings a lot of discussion around certain things, but we'll stick to football.
Yeah, I always think it is a time. Every Australia Day, I always think about. You've worn the jersey. What does it mean?
Yeah.
And the older you get, of course, I think you probably get even more proud of.
More sentimental.
More sentimental. What you achieved. All right. Speaking of sentimental, the Man United fans. We talked about them last week, but we have to start with them again this week because they're getting sentimental now. They're starting to dream a bit.
Yeah.
What has happened with Michael Carrick's new Manchester United? Does anyone want to explain what the hell is going on?
I think it's quite simple. Basically, number one, allowing players to play in the position where they feel most comfortable, concentrating on their strengths rather than their weaknesses, and obviously behind closed doors, making people feel 10 feet tall. And I think that sometimes gets a little bit overlooked, especially when we're talking about the top level. We tend to, especially these days, a lot, which is understandable too, concentrate on tactics and how they're playing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been nothing spectacular, really. 4-2-3-1. There were times against Arsenal as well when they were defending. It was like a 6-2-2.
Yeah.
People tracking back. We spoke about that last week, Robbie. Tracking back, trying to help each other out. And there seems a much better spirit and cohesion. I haven't seen the last 2 years. It's only been 2 games, but I have not seen the arms go up in the air.
Yeah.
Or
It's all the body language is a
the
lot
body
better.
language.
Yeah.
And it just seems a really good feeling. And it's hard to explain sometimes, but we all get that feeling, regardless if you're a footballer expert or ex-player or somebody who's watching the game for the first time. But we all know when you're watching certain games, you get feelings during the games. You think, they're never going to score. They're going to win. They're still in this. And even after the first half an hour of that game where Arsenal were exceptional and deservedly took the lead, I was still thinking there, Manchester United still got a big chance here.
Yeah.
And it proved to be correct. And of course, they've got exceptional quality. And if you've got exceptional quality and you know as a coach how to give those players with exceptional quality time and space, well,
I think,
and confidence.
Of course.
I think one of the things that stood out, an interesting comment of what Carrick has done with culture and tweaks here, for me, and you all know as players, you hate a long training session.
Yeah.
Now, Carrick's come out and one of the things he's changed is he's reduced the training time, and they're now more intense, shorter sessions, more intense. And I look at United in these 5 games and I'm thinking, they do look sharper.
Yeah.
And Burma's looking sharper. Cunha. I mean, you look at the goals and that's in isolation, but all around the park, they just look sharper. And I don't know. Like you go, Tommy, you know.
Yeah.
When you used to have a long training session, you'd go, all right, when's this going to end?
You need to enjoy going to work. At the bottom line, I think he's brought that feeling back of positivity, and you can see as well that their body language, like you said, was on the field. I think they're much more positive. He's kind of empowered the players, but I think as well, the two big things that he's done is bring Harry Maguire back in and Kobe Mainoo. I think they've both made a huge difference to the team.
Harry Maguire especially.
Yeah, and Fernandez up in his right position.
In his right position. But Harry Maguire
has been unbelievable.
Harry Maguire never lost a duel. Never lost a duel in that whole game.
Arsenal, the first 30 minutes, were completely dominant. But Manchester United frustrated them. They didn't create too many clear-cut chances. There was that one save from the goal. Yeah, that was a great save. But aside from the goal, that was kind of it. And then the second, the 60 minutes after that first half an hour, they kind of weathered the storm. United were way better. They were a better team. And I think they deserve to win.
The other thing as well to take in consideration going forward, obviously they're 12 points off the lead, and I'm no way saying that they can win the title, but the Champions League place is well in play, as it was when Amorim got sacked. But you look at the next 4 games, the way that they're playing, they've got Fulham and Spurs at home, then West Ham and Everton away. Very much so. The way that
you
they're
said
playing
after
now,
a couple of results, you said, "Is this a caveat?" So what you've seen since
I said
then,
the little caveat being,
we've seen it before.
We have seen
so
it
you're
before.
happier now.
Right.
Well, every week, but I don't want to get too overexcited because of what has happened in the past. The other thing I will say, out of all those teams vying, you could say for Champions League places, let's say out of the 6 teams, say down to Liverpool in 6th place, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Manchester City, Arsenal. Manchester United have got a chance, with it being out of both cup competitions and not in Europe, of preparing for a week. Yeah. What about you? What's your observations, Foz?
The thing is, I think it's an indictment on the internal dynamics, psychologically, how people are feeling, the confidence that they lack, and the whole group dynamic that Amorim had. Because he's come in, he's only had 2 weeks. He's just gone and beat, Man City and Arsenal away, which they haven't done forever. Yeah. So the thing is, you can see a total difference in the team. But in that 2 weeks, he doesn't have time to work. This is not a whole new tactical system. Well, it actually is a different formation, right? Yeah. But he hasn't had the time to get them new attacking models, new ways of moving. What it is, all you're seeing is a released group. Happy, a motivated group who's kind of with him at the moment. Because the problem with that club is when it starts to go south, they all then jump from the coach as well. It doesn't matter who they've been, and that's the problem for Carrick. But what it shows is that the internal team dynamic must have been so horrible. Toxic. Because now look at all the players are 25% better. That's quite extraordinary. So that's what he's done well. And I think what the ex-players can do well in these interim moments is they can come in and say, this is what our club means. Right?
So we're not getting that with Roy Keane.
Isn't
that amazing? Because everyone else is saying what you're saying.
Right.
And he's a big figure in the club. I mean, everyone listens to him. So what's the problem? If he's doing so well at this point, which he is, we all agree, how does he fix that problem, Carrick?
What do you mean? What problem?
Well, Roy Keane's criticising that, and what did he say, Tommy? You said it before the show.
He basically said that if he wins every game between now and the end of the season, he still shouldn't be permanent. The permanent manager.
But that's fair. But that's something completely different. That's something completely different.
But that's a big voice.
That's a lot of. But there has to be a lot of caveats. It depends how he wins them.
Exactly.
If he wins all those games, there's a very strong chance that you've got to appoint him. But secondly, because there's a lot of games there.
There is.
And secondly, it always depends. Like, how are they winning it? Are they winning it just lucky? Are they not playing well? Are they playing the football that you're trying to see? That's the problem.
Well, he's had a great start because they are.
He's had a great start.
And the energy is there, and they look happy, as you said. So.
I agree. I think the big test for them, though, is because we've seen United before. They in the big games they turn up, but then the next 5 games you look at them, and we said it's 5 winnable games.
That's right.
Well, now we're going to see.
They're going to have to make the game. It's a completely different.
That's another caveat.
Test, and I think that's going to be the big test for Carrick and getting the fans on board. Is because can he, be the proactive kind of team in the game and have possession and dominate.
When you're the favourite.
Exactly.
When you're the favourite.
And I think that's the big mental shift as well, and the challenge for them going forward. And I think that's the test for him ultimately, whether or not he can keep that job. Because most games, they're going to be the favourite.
It's true. And the thing about the ex-players is you don't have to be an ex-player of the club to communicate it, but I think he seems to have the skill to do it. And it is important for someone who understands the history of the club and what it means to win and what it takes to win. And it just seems to me at the moment, I mean, I think he's undefeated. Like, he was interim coach before, and now he's come in and he's won these 2 big games. So he's clearly got a good idea of what he's doing. but he definitely is able to get across to them, in my view, this is actually what Manchester United is, and that's important. Like, you have to perform at this level every second of every single game, and you didn't see that.
And Cunha actually said it in post-game. He said that he understands the feeling of the club, and that's exactly what we're talking about, is understanding the significance of the shirt, because I think sometimes with Manchester United, the shirt can weigh heavy on you. You know, it's the pressure. The good managers find a way to kind of use that and harness that, and that's what he's done in the first 2 games, I think.
Time will tell, because like I said, these next 4 games are winnable games, and I'm not so worried. I'm with the rest of you. So Tommy especially said it's not so much the big games. It's the games that they would normally count as
winnable games.
Favourites.
And that's what he said.
And they're going to have exactly what he said, and they're going to have to come out. So we will see, but it's a great start. Absolutely great start.
And that's where this team has really struggled in recent years. Okay, is that consistency and that application. And you look at them every single game, doesn't matter who they're playing against, and it looks like Manchester United. It doesn't. At the moment it does. So let's have a look. What about the Gunners?
Well, and Robbie will tell you this, he's gone through a title race, the closest one in history, and came out, the second closest one, probably we have to say, to Manchester City.
Oh, the Aguero.
So up there, we'll put it up there, and he knows, I've been in 2 title races, come runners up once, the other time we won it, but we won it with 4 or 5 games to spare. You do go through bad periods. Now, is this Arsenal's poor period? In terms of the Premier League, there's no win in the last 3 Premier League games. Their lead at the top has now been reduced, although I will say, still, over the festive period, they went into that festive period only 3 points clear. They're now 4 points clear. I wouldn't count that last game as a festive period, but they came out of it 7 points clear. They are in 4 competitions. It's very, very difficult. Now, the one thing is having the experience that you've won it before. We know Mikel Arteta has not got that, nor is the majority of his players. In terms of the Premier League, you have to say what you would say none of his players. So we don't know what they're doing day to day as well. Like I said, they're playing Saturday, Wednesday. They're on the verge of being in the League Cup final. They're on top of the Champions League. They're in the FA Cup 4th round. It might be time for him to start, basically maybe doing things a little bit different than he's done the last 3 seasons. And what I say about that, and Robbie will testify how important these things, sometimes, even from a mental perspective, not so physical, it's not a bad idea to say to the boys, listen, take 2 days off, or go away, or like those little things are going to be so important because of the amount of games that happen. Like I said, physically, you're not going to get any fitter at this time of season unless you're coming back from injury. But mentally, you can become a little bit exhausted. It's a big period that's coming up. Just over just over a third of the season still to go, 15 games. Like I said, the Champions League, they'll rest players this week. That I'm quite certain.
Well, they did last year.
They did last year.
Yeah, exactly.
With great success.
Very well.
They're pretty much through to that League Cup final, that 3-2 win over Chelsea, FA Cup. So it might be time just for him to sort of whatever he's doing, just to maybe do a little bit opposite, not in a big way. Because if you said to Arsenal fans, and Mikel Arteta at the start of the season, I guarantee you, by the end of January, you're going to be top of the table by 4 points.
You take it every day of the week.
Top of the Champions League, on the verge of the League Cup final. You take it every week.
I think the big thing to do, and I remember, Dave, you talked about Blackburn, and we'd never won it. The difference was we had Kenny who'd won it. And obviously a massive history. And I remember we lost at West Ham. He played Richard Whitaker. I was on the bench that day. And we got smashed. And this was the start of the run-in. I remember the next week, a little bit what you said. Kenny come in, we didn't go through the game. Kenny talked to us and said...
Which you would normally do.
Yeah, we would normally
so
go
he changed
through
it.
Ray Harford, the assistant coach, did most of that. And we played 5-a-sides. And
had a bit of fun.
There was a bit of fun, and it certainly changed it. But that run-in, we certainly, I think, as the players, even though we had Shearer, who was at the top of his game, we shit ourselves. We literally did. And... we went to places and we ground out wins, and in the end, I mean, Manchester United were the kings at that period. That was the year Cantona did the Kung Fu kick. And I always remember that at training we said, this could be our year, because he was such a massive influence. But I think what Bozza said is true. It's up to the manager now. But, they're 4 points clear. They're still in the box seat. And it's how he manages what's going on.
Well, talk about Dalglish then, because what you're essentially saying is we had a guy in charge who had the experience, and he was able to manage through those difficult periods with the group.
He was calm.
He was calm.
Very calm.
And I think managing the emotion, I mean, if you just kept doing what got you to that top position, then you would win the league. But it's about managing the emotion of it. You stop doing what made you successful to that point. And I think that's the thing that the manager's kind of going to navigate, is managing the players in that situation and getting out of your own head.
You all know, and you know, Tommy, playing for the Socceroos, we've all done that. Nervous energy. I mean, in those big moments, if you've got someone calm around you, okay, it's not going to make you maybe play 100% better, but it's just calming to watch someone.
And somebody who's won the lot.
No, you need it.
Somebody that's won the lot saying to you.
So handle the nervous energy. You know,
Yeah.
like when you travel away and you're in the hotel and the next game, you know, it's dinner, relaxing, and all those little details.
But I think. Having said all this, with Arsenal, for me, from the outside looking in, it's interesting that you think about it, they're in this amazing position, but you still look at them with like an element of scepticism.
Because they haven't done
because
it
of what's happened before.
Exactly, and because 3 years ago they were in this situation and bottled it. And I think
the last 3 seasons.
And they finished second. How many seasons?
Last 3 seasons.
3 in a row.
Three.
If it was City in this situation, you would think they're going to win.
Yeah, they're going.
But it's done. So I think there are still some issues too. I think goal scoring is a big issue for Arsenal because, you know, scoring from open play, they've obviously their record from set pieces is well spoken about, but scoring and creating chances in open play has been a big problem because games where they completely dominate, they don't get that the goal scoring margin doesn't reflect that, so the other team's always in the game. And we've seen in the last few weeks, you know, they've battered teams, but they end up drawing the game. And I think that's something they're going to have to fix. In terms of also, I think that, you know, Arteta likes to control the game and the style of the game so much that I think a lot of the attacking players are maybe a little bit stifled in the front third.
Fozzie, club legend Patrick Vieira took a swipe at Bukayo Saka in the post-match. He's played in all competitions, 31 games, 7 goals, 5 assists. In the Premier League, it's 21 played, 4 goals and 3 assists. He has had a series of injuries as well, and we all know when you have injuries, it can take time to even walk properly. Like you feel as though
momentum.
Was that fair, or do you think he's maybe just trying to just trying to give him the proverbial kick up the backside in a good way, or do you think that basically that maybe he's one of the players that with the squad they have that Arteta should be looking at, so maybe he needs a couple of weeks rest?
I think he's probably right to ask the question. There are huge expectations on him this season. He had a great season last year, but as you say, the injury interruptions haven't been helpful for him. But he's one, if they're going to win the title, I think Vieira knows he has to step up. Right? The other thing that Vieira said was that he was talking about Declan Rice's leadership. And he's effectively saying what you're all saying, which is Arteta hasn't won it, and you say calm, but you certainly need people on the field and in the dressing room who are able to manage through this situation and carry the team, right? Because the way they respond in every single game, people follow. You know that. You know, even you see top players, you know, attacking players, creative players. They're all fantastic players, but there's only a couple of players in every group who actually lead the way that the team operates.
Take ownership of the situation
in every game, and of course they're usually the skippers and whatever, and that means that a difficult game they're there and they're driving everyone forward. And I think that's what they definitely need now. They have the capability to get there. I mean, their performances in Europe and some of these have been on the very highest level. I think they're very likely to win the Champions League this year. But to get across in the Premier League, they're going to have to be led by someone or a couple. And I don't know if Arteta can do it.
It's interesting as well because their top scorer this season has only scored 5 goals.
That's right.
Salah last year scored 29.
That's right.
So they don't have that one player that's almost, you know, Liverpool last year would be bad in games. Salah would score 2 goals, they would win.
Yeah, that's right.
Arsenal doesn't have that this year. So it feels like they really need to play well to win their game. That's been the big issue.
Or set pieces over half their goals plus own
set
goals.
Set pieces extraordinary.
Which are unbelievable.
Set pieces dry up.
Exactly.
That's what I think can become a problem for them. We saw that last season when they sort of got in the mode of, remember, everything was about keeping clean sheets, and it ended up costing them. I just got to think they've got to be careful not to become a team that just think to themselves, all right, you know what, as long as we get a set piece, it doesn't work like
that's
that.
right, that's
We need to have goals coming from everywhere.
Which is what Vieira is saying.
Well,
he's saying you have to keep going forward.
So, all right, so if you're Mikel Arteta, this week they've got Carrick who are last in the Champions League, and they've got Leeds away. What do you do for this week then? Do you rest basically the whole team?
Well, he did in the last
in the Champions League. It was still a good show. But you actually just say, and then obviously build up Leeds away.
I reckon play B team, freshen everyone up, and get ready for.
The thing is, I can't remember, and maybe you can remember, you blokes. I can't remember a team winning the premiership without a highest goal scorer.
I don't think it's ever happened.
You look at Haaland, you look at Salah, you look at all these premierships over the years.
I think no team's ever won without a player getting to double digits.
Well, there you go.
And so they're on track not to get to double digits.
It's extraordinary.
Oh, I think they'll get there.
Somewhere.
All right, let's see.
Still to come on Added Time.
Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, obviously, they've got to take a bit of responsibilities.
I say they should get rid of Slater. I don't think they'll make the Champions League.
One or two signings can change their momentum very quickly.
And he said, you just cost us the Premier League. Pointing straight at him.
The one issue I do have with him is he does need, like Gerrard said, he needs to stop talking about the low block.
Because you said it last week, I actually watched it.
Against Leverkusen.
And they won.
Yeah.
I'm hosting now. I don't have to answer your questions. This is a great seat to be in. Onside, offside, you know that you've got to say one or the other. Don't let me remind you of that again, okay?
You usually remind me every time. So
Onside, all right,
Number one. Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes held an emergency meeting to stop the rot, they say, as Liverpool fell out of the top 8 European spots. Onside, offside, Liverpool will miss out on Xabi Alonso if they don't sack Slot to take him. Controversial, onside, offside, I reckon.
Six. They're in 6 positions still. We know it's very, very close.
Did I just remind him? Did I just remind him or not?
You did remind
I
him.
reminded
Offside.
Okay.
Offside. I think Xabi Alonso will be there for them. I said on one of the shows that was my tip, and I think you all laughed at me, but I said, end of the season, Slot to go and Xabi Alonso to take over. Okay. But there's no need to make a change right now, in my opinion. Like I said, they're in 6th position. That can change very, very quickly. If you just have a look here, they're 2 points behind Manchester United, who are in 4th.
That hurts.
So I know, but they're still fit. Like I said, they're still.
You don't know. You loved it. You called me on the weekend to say. You said Liverpool are going to lose, United are going to win, and we're ahead of you.
There has been something else that we haven't, I think, spoken about enough and I don't think Liverpool have as well, because you don't want to use it excuse, and it's such a tragic situation. But the passing of Diogo Jota and his brother in tragic circumstances. It's happened before in other sports, and I remember speaking to somebody in a certain sport here in Australia. So when it happened to their team, they just won their championship. The team was never the same, and I think that's had a much bigger effect on a lot of the team than obviously has been spoken about, which is understandable. You don't want to use that type of thing as an excuse all the time. So I still think that they will get in a Champions League position, because I think it will go down to 5 places because of the coefficients. But Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes obviously got big responsibilities in terms of signing players. They've got to take a bit of responsibility as well, because once again, coming back to what we said at the start of the season, 5 high-profile signings for me, for a team that's just won the title, was and is too many.
So the question is, above Slot should be under pressure, because we know now that the managers...
All of them.
Not like the old days, Tommy, when the manager was everything. They signed players, they got rid of players, they put players in the reserves, and now... But I'm sorry, I'm onside. I think this Liverpool never sacked manager. Fair enough, when you go through the years. I think the way they look at the moment, it's almost like you're relying on Sosbolai to have a we talked about Arsenal and set, which he's been doing when they drive. It's like Arsenal set pieces. But I think you touched on it. Isak's been a disaster, and it's half of it's not his fault because he's injured. Kirk is not convinced. Van Dijk's a shadow of what he was. Mo Salah's just come back from the African Nations Cup, but they got no wingers. Gakpo has to play. Salah, there's no other right winger.
I thought Luis Diaz was a shocking one to let go. Unbelievable.
Look what he's doing at
He's a phenomenal
player.
as well. Unbelievable.
I say they should get rid of Slot. I don't think they'll make the Champions League.
What about Salah? Tell me about Salah. So Salah's back. Has he had the impact that you expect him to come back in? Because before he left, he's a great player, but I'm not convinced that with Wirtz in there and so on, that the way that they're playing now suits him. And all of a sudden, there's actually a chance that they might perform better without him, and were performing better without him. And now that he's come back, what do you reckon?
It's an interesting discussion. I think that if you look, I think that they have been stitched up, just going back to what they were saying before, firstly with recruitment, because obviously they got it wrong in the off-season. But you look at Guardiola's situation, they've been in a bit of a hole. He signs Gehi, he signs, Semenyo.
That's the one they missed.
And then exactly, and I think that's been a huge issue for them. And I think 1 or 2 signings can change their momentum very quickly.
That's true.
In terms of Salah, I still think that there's, he obviously left to go to the African Nations Cup.
Yeah, but when it was
but it
boiling,
wasn't.
right?
And I don't think that had been fully resolved.
Okay.
And I just think he's come back and it's still unresolved. And I can see that being an inflection point again between now and the end of the season.
You talk about culture. There's not a good culture in there at the moment.
You reckon?
No.
And I think just to clarify, Rob,
I think Wirtz is a great player.
Yeah.
And I think he's sort of the only one in the last month has probably gone. But he's just getting sucked in.
Him and Zob
to all this
basically held everything together.
Missing Mark Goy in the summer was
It's
unbelievable.
so just
they chased him for months and months, and they waited till the last couple of hours when Palace actually pulled out. The deal should have been done. So if you look at Van Dijk, you look at Kanate and Gomez, who always gets injured.
Yeah.
They say Kanate hasn't been good enough, but Van Dijk hasn't been
Maybe
good
they
enough.
need an additional player there to
Van
drive
Dijk
them hard.
And Van Dijk has not missed a minute of Premier League or Champions League football. So we talk about the load that he's on. He's not getting any younger. That's not really... It's asking a lot of someone in his position. He's done an ACL only a couple of years.
Sometimes they need an extra player to push them.
No, just to clarify, so you're saying they should sack him before the end of the season? Before the end of the season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, would you sack him now? Would you sack him now?
I would. Yeah. I would. I think you'll miss Alonso.
All right. What about you, Foss?
Well, I think you probably will miss Alonso.
Yeah.
But,
sack now or
whether he
the
gets
season?
sacked or not.
Well, I always I think from the outside, sometimes it's obvious that they should go because you can see the coaching of the team and all that stuff. Sometimes I think it's a bit less obvious and it is more difficult from the outside. So in other words, I'd like to see what is going on inside. I think he has the capability to coach them and to continue to win with them. And to me, hasn't lost that in the last 3 months. But I need to see inside what's happening with the group, like how he's progressing. The one issue I do have with him is he does need, like Gerrard said, he needs to stop talking about the low blocks.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, you are Liverpool, you're going to face a low block every week, buddy, right? And every week it's like, we didn't win because we faced another low block, and that's always difficult for us, and we're not diving and everyone else is diving, and that's why they're winning. He's got to cut that out.
I think he needs to look more internally. I think when you start making excuses like that, it can be a slippery slope, and the supporters aren't stupid. They take notice of all these types of things. So I think he needs to say, we need to be better.
Yeah, that's right. And when he was talking about breaking the low blocks, it wasn't, so maybe he should talk less about that, but it wasn't like the most impressive breakdown of, maybe he was holding some stuff back, but actually what he said is, we just need to do this, we need to go one-on-one more, and Frimpong did that a little bit and da-da-da. Yeah. Whereas everyone knows these days that actually...
Every big club gets a low block.
Every club has the same thing.
Yeah.
Manchester City worked out the model better than anyone. Guardiola worked out the model, and it's not just 1v1, right? It's everyone arriving in the box at the right time, it's the chips over, it's the little balls through, it's the runs through, it's the combination. Yeah. And so when he said that, it kind of, I thought was a little bit of a concern, because there are coaches who are very well structured, can manage the group brilliantly. Obviously he could manage to win last year by 10 points. That's a massive tick. But at the same time, they all have elements of the game where they are not the best or they're not excellent. And it may well be that breaking down the low blocks is actually not his skill. Yeah. Right? That is Guardiola's skill, because he's just spent 25 years working it out.
If he's no good at that, then he's not the right man for the job.
Well, this is the question, right? That's what I would be thinking about.
If you think, I saw Bournemouth, right? So they get the late winner, all right? It looked like they grabbed a point, which was still the start of the day, not good enough.
Yeah.
And I just looked at, and the camera obviously went to Slot. He looked lost. His body language looked
it's not good.
Like he didn't have any. And I know it's a big thing to say. I'm not sitting here just talking. I think if they don't change now, they don't make Champions League.
Sure.
Yeah. They don't make Champions League. That's a disaster, because then how do you attract players?
Can they win the Can they win the Champions League? I still think they can win the Champions League.
It's possible.
No,
it's possible.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely, but it is possible. They're one of the teams.
Yeah. Okay. And you've seen with a lot of them. I mean, look at Tottenham. They're up to 5th in Champions League. I mean, they're a disaster in the league. All right, let's move on.
No. We said onside, offside. So
I'm with Boz.
We've talked about
it. I think you need to give him the season.
Okay,
you said onside.
So everyone's offside.
Well, I'm hosting now. I don't have to answer all this stuff. Firstly, I don't have to answer your questions. This is a great seat to be in. No, I'm kidding. I would say offside at the moment.
There you go. 3-1.
There's only one true Liverpool fan.
3-1.
All right, listen. Man City correct the poor run. Sorry, I can't see. Man City correct the poor run of form with the win over Wolves. Semenyo scores third in 4 games. On or off, new signings, Gay and Semenyo will win the title for City.
Onside for me. City
You reckon they're going to win?
You think so?
City
Okay.
wins the league.
I'm on side.
I just want to debate one thing.
Yeah.
I know but I know they lost those 2 games, but that was 2 games out of the last 15.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to count the Wolves one, it's 2 out of 16 games. That's not really. I think people got a little bit because of the and then Bodo Glint, they got a little bit above them, and they like to sort of knock them down.
Sure.
I'll go offside, as I still think Arsenal are going to win it. But Mark Gay's first game, he looked composed. He looked everything that Robbie was saying that Liverpool needed. So I can understand. But Semenyo, we've seen from the start of the season, he's been absolutely fantastic. This is a player that at different stages of his career was getting rejected here, rejected there. What a fantastic story, and what a fantastic player. But even remember the opening game of the season, Bournemouth versus Liverpool? Remember, he was phenomenal. Brilliant.
But the thing there was all counter-attack. It was just like going flying, right? Bang. Whereas this is different football.
Exactly.
And he's shown he can play this football.
And not only that as well, he looks as though that he's been at Manchester City for probably 4 or 5 years. Let alone 4 or 5 minutes with what he was. But only offside because I still think, even though they're starting to worry us, Arsenal will win the title.
I say the same. Arsenal for the title.
So it's 2-2.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, I think. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Relegation battle.
I'm going to write that down.
All right.
And
Keep
I lost
the table.
3-1 the last one.
Okay. A relegation battle: Wolves, Burnley, and West Ham. Their form is all getting better. Obviously, Burnley got a point. West Ham beat Sunderland 3-1. Even Leeds got a draw on the weekend. So onside, offside, the 3 teams currently in relegation spots will be relegated.
I think West Ham's going to get out, so I'm going to say offside.
Get in, offside, West Ham.
Okay.
They'll survive.
Well, who's going down?
I think
you reckon they're going to get out?
No, I reckon the three.
Well, if they're going to go down, someone else.
Yeah,
if they're going to go up, someone else will go down.
Forest. It's not going to be Palace. It's not going to be Spurs.
Forest or Leeds.
As much as and Burnley's, they're still 10 points. Behind safety. So I only think it could be West Ham who've narrowed the gap. But Forest had a great win on the weekend as well.
They did.
Away. But I think
that was a killer for West Ham because West Ham was good and they were playing.
They were,
and the likelihood of that was low. Like they win, they finally win, and then they win in the same weekend.
And we
so I'll say onside. The 3 teams in the relegation battle
offside
will go.
Offside. I'm going.
I reckon they're gone.
Look, I'm a former player. I've got to get West Ham.
So tell me, I just wanted you to give a story about because you were in a relegation battle as well. You obviously won a Premier League, but with Southampton you were there, and and West Ham have just come out with a performance out of nowhere. I mean, they were disastrous. In last month. What just give people a sense of how difficult it is because it's difficult to win a title because the pressure increases, but what about the pressure actually being?
Well, I remember when we won it, and I got asked by someone after that final game against Villa, and we'll get to that in a moment. And I remember answering, "How good is that?" I said, I said it was as good as winning the Premier League with Blackburn. Getting saved, because relief of
and
not
the
getting
fans
relegated.
and
But we had a turnaround where Graham Souness, a very strong character, he had a lot of self-belief. He never really panicked, but we were awful. And I remember we were sitting there and we were playing a home game. I can't remember. It might have been even Blackburn, although Blackburn might have been a bit later. But we were playing. And we were watching, Mark Lawrenson was on with the host and whatever that, what was it called, that show?
Match of the Day.
Match of the Day. Yeah. And we were sitting there having our pre-match meal. At midday, we'd drive to the Dell to play the game. And Mark Lawrenson said, and he looked at the table and he said, well, we were bottom last with 10 games to go. And he said, it's Southampton in 2 overs. And Souness looked around at the table while we were eating. He said, see that?
Right. Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Motivation.
We went on a run which was extraordinary. And we went to the last day, so we played in a last day relegation battle against Aston Villa. And we were lucky. We played all the teams around us. Sunderland, we played Forest. They're the 2 that went down. We played West Ham, we were in the battle. Blackburn were in the battle. And we beat Blackburn, we beat Sunderland at Roker.
Everton were in the battle and Coventry as well.
That was crucial. So we went to Villa Park. My friend, who was there, out of all the others, we needed every result to go against us, but it could have.
Right.
And we ended up losing 1-0. I should have scored that day, Tommy. Because I asked my friend in the tunnel, I said,
what a place to
you guys are safe. And I also asked Dwight York, and he didn't even, you in a relegation battle? York didn't even know. So Bozza, to this day.
Yeah. Mark Lawrenson spoke to us before the game to send him down. So, but it was because I remember being on the bottom, and I did fear. I wanted to ask you, but was there a time, during that time where the players, or like, when you speak of players, were actually saying, you want to get in that positive mind frame. So, you just basically, don't mention going down, But was there a time when the players actually said, we're going to go down here?
The lowest point in that run. So when Lawrenson said that, we had a couple of good results and it looked okay. We played Coventry. Gordon Strachan was playing for Coventry and they were in the battle.
We were
2-0 up with about 15 minutes to go. They scored one. And this is what happens in those nervous energy. Remember? So if you're at the top or the bottom, it's that nervous energy. And you could feel around the Dell, the atmosphere changed. And we were still in control, but then it was, it was like every minute seems like an hour. And it was 4 minutes. And at 3 minutes, Francis Benali, the left fullback, the ball goes over and it went past me. I was playing left wing. He was behind me. And I remember Francis was going back towards his own goal. And it was an easy back pass to the keeper. Right? He mishit it. And I remember their striker, you would have known, he was their best player. Coventry, he nipped around 2-2. And the feeling was...
The energy drained.
And we came into the dressing room and I walked up with Gordon Strachan and he said to me, Robbie, these battles are not nice, are they? Good luck. And we walked in, Graham Souness come in, the coffee cups and the tea just went like that, and he looked at Francis Benali and he said, I can't say the other word, you just cost us the Premier League, pointing straight at him. And all the players just went, that was a low point. And I felt for Francis
pretty
Benali.
low.
That is,
because it wasn't a great comment.
I'm pretty sure there's like 10 other dudes.
I think Graham Souness would.
But that is the old style of management, you got to say as well.
He did. He pointed. Cost us.
That was it. Someone's got to be to blame.
And he was a club man, Francis Benali.
He was
loved by the club.
Yeah.
And of course we didn't. But it was a moment where your question was, did you feel? I remember after that driving home thinking,
we could go down.
Wow. That was a big moment.
And there was a lot of managing by fear in those decades, right? We're a bit older than you, so we all had that stuff. Like, when things are going bad, like you just got to kill someone, right? Instead of just saying, look, maybe someone should have gone here, maybe you need another option. It was, right? We used to have a lot of throwing at teacups, a lot of abuse.
He could have maybe said, look, it's all our fault, but some, and then look at Benali and go, but some have got more blame to take than others.
All right,
Champions League, let's move on.
Okay, Champions League.
Wow.
Wow, 18 games.
18 games. Same day, Thursday morning?
Yep.
Do we have to watch
how good is Football Zone? That's the question.
Well, it'll be absolutely fantastic because in this case, you have to say, 16th place, Borussia Dortmund, and down to 32nd place, Ajax, have all got a chance of getting into that final 24.
Dortmund play Inter at home.
They do, but they should be okay. But some of the other games that you've got in terms of deciding who's going to be in the knockouts are going to be outstanding. I don't think there will be as much emphasis because of what happened with Paris last season. In terms of being outside that 8, I don't think there'll be as much emphasis than the teams in the 8. We're talking about, it doesn't really matter if you finish first, second, or if you're in the 8. It's not desperate.
Yep. How does the Football Zone work?
Well, anytime there's a goal, there's one game on. Anytime there's
like the goal zone.
We're going
from game to game to game to game to game. Because they're in games.
We're going to Dortmund because there's been something that's happened. Other games that stand out, you have to say Club Brugge versus Marseille, two teams that are looking to satisfy themselves. There's so many games like that.
Dortmund, Inter's good.
Benfica as well. Jose Mourinho against his old team Real Madrid. Benfica have to win to give themselves any chance. Athletic Club against Sporting. Sporting with that wonderful result against Paris last time. There is, like I said, all of them. Napoli, to be fair, have surprised me that they're struggling to get into the 24 at this stage. There's Paris versus Newcastle, but like I said, I don't think that's going to carry the importance
unless they at least get a point.
So they really need to motor. And even Ajax versus Olympiacos. I told you last game.
You love Olympiacos.
No, because
you said it last week. I actually watched it.
Against Leverkusen,
and they won. 2-0.
They're and Ajax have to win.
Go the Greeks.
Olympiacos in 24th position. So, like I said, all those teams basically up until Ajax are on 6 points.
Well, I tell you what, now I'm confused.
Ajax are in
too many things. No, it's going to be great.
32nd position,
the last
6 points. All the way to Dortmund, like I said, on 11.
What's the big team, if you can look at your crystal ball, What big club misses out? Is there a possibility?
Well, there's a few, and Napoli I would start with. What you just said, really. After being Chelsea, 100%. They're a big team. People
Chelsea
would
are
argue,
so they need something.
Olympiacos are the biggest team in Greece. They've won the title.
Yeah,
well, they're reigning champions. They won the Conference League.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember,
2
seasons
it's
ago.
Not Forest owner, isn't it? Same dude.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Maranakis. The other two, I would say, even though it's highly unlikely with Dortmund, but they still could go out. Results go against them, and they happen to lose. But Bayer Leverkusen, a team that I thought would have no trouble getting in 24, they've got to be very careful as well. Benfica, like I said, Benfica need to make sure that they
and
get
Bodo
a good
did
result.
a good job against Man City. That's our old favourite team.
Yeah, 100%.
They're from Norway. They play unbelievable football.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of the best football in Europe, and they absolutely smashed them. So listen, give me one team at this point coming into match day 8 that you reckon is favourite to win it.
The Champions League.
Yeah, have you changed your mind?
From what you've seen, you'd have to say Arsenal.
Okay.
I mean,
they're points ahead.
Yeah, and they've just been the best team by
far.
But
we know. And
that's not how it works.
Is this a comparison? Because I think you said, it might have even been last week, Liverpool won just as convincingly, finished on top of the table, and look what happened. They won the title, but the Champions League was...
No, that's right. Well, PSG gave them a lesson last year having 2 legs. It was one of those. Oh, my word.
Well,
remember those 2 games? Liverpool were flying in the league.
It was,
they gave them a football lesson.
Alisson was unbelievable.
Slot didn't know what to say after. It was unbelievable.
Alisson,
they won in the last second of the first game. Remember? PSG absolutely.
Alisson had one of the greatest goalkeeping performances.
So this has just been a Hammer Liverpool session. This has been done on purpose.
All right, but have you changed your mind? No, I think Arsenal... But the trouble with Arsenal, again, is they've never won it, right? So
Bayern's another one. I think this could be a good year for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though they lost their first game on the weekend.
I think City.
Are there teams around there who we think cannot win it, or is there when I met I think Arsenal, Bayern, Real Madrid, Liverpool all can win it. Tottenham Hotspurs, can they win it?
No, they can't.
Paris obviously can. Newcastle, can they win it?
No, they can't.
All right, Chelsea.
It's possible, but not really at the moment. I don't think they're in a good.
I just want to.
I think there will be a bit up and down. You're coming up against the strongest.
Definitely.
Yes, Paris Saint-Germain, So I just wanted to finish with...
you've got to have Real Madrid in the question.
I wanted to just... Are you done?
Go.
No, good. We're just going to finish with you on PSG.
Yeah.
Finish us off because your old club Lons is on top in Liga.
They were. They lost it. They're second.
They lost to
Marseille on the weekend.
Okay.
But they're still in second.
They're still,
and it's very close.
And PSG, so what's going on? Because last year they were, after the group stage, from then on, they were imperious. The football was unbelievable.
I think, Fozzie, and I said it when Chelsea won the World Club
Championship,
the first one ever, I thought that, and talking about the Premier League when we had the preview, and I thought Chelsea might struggle because of this, because they didn't really get an off-season.
Okay.
And I think Paris have suffered in the same way. Because,
they've
only lost, so Lens has lost 4, Paris has only lost 2 games, but they've drawn 3. But they're not the same.
Okay.
It's 100% to point out. But maybe, Tommy, that World Club...
And what are you hearing from France? We're hearing very, very strong rumours that Luis Enrique has basically said that he thinks he's done everything he can do there, and that he's looking to go.
Yeah, I mean...
that's been intimated. In terms of France, what are they saying?
Well, it's one of the first... Well, L'Equipe, one of the biggest newspapers, which is followed by France Football, that do the Ballon d'Or. L'Equipe had 3 headlines. In a 5-day period, 6 days, sorry, because L'Equipe comes out on Saturday as well, where that headline was put. And I think a lot of the discussions were, you just don't see that happen so often, for that not to have a certain amount of...
Because they're credible, they're a credible organisation.
And there's a lot of things that I think Enrique wants to go, I played there and I love it, and Lens are doing well, and Paris are the team they've become. But I think he wants to go to a bigger league.
Sure. That's true.
Because if we classify the leagues, I think France, in the big 5, they're probably the 5th.
That's true. It's true.
So, not to say it's not a good league.
No, it's a good league.
So, Luis Enrique, he's won the Champions League.
That's true. And plus, what more can you do?
He
redefined football, the guy.
In
terms of the football he produced, he almost beat Guardiola, basically, right? So he won the treble at Barca. He's come there and done it in the club that couldn't do it.
That's right.
Right? Was fundamentally flawed. He's the first guy to actually be able to change.
Left because
and look at all the coaches who were there. I mean, everyone was there. Tuchel and Emery and everyone everyone, and
Ancelotti,
Ancelotti,
and
And the best players in the world.
So he's probably better off go
And
and do
I
something
think
else.
you look at their struggles this year. I think their top scorer is Barcola, who's got 5 goals. I
Okay,
think
right.
their goal scoring has been their issue.
Yeah,
It's not-
right.
And Dembele,
His
who's
last
got
season,
Ballon d'Or,
yeah.
he's not been the same.
Yeah,
So I
okay,
think
right.
there's like a few attacking
Some
that-
issues.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
you're right about
Alright.
that, buddy. Bradley
Okay.
Barcola, 7 goals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's close enough.
No, he's right.
All right, good job, guys.
Excellent.
See you
Good
next
job.
week.
See you go. Thank you.
This has been another Stan Sport production.